Welcome to my podcast story, the show where podcasters share the real journey behind their voices, from their first mic check to their biggest milestones. Every episode reveals the lessons, challenges, and breakthrough that shape a podcast star's journey. I'm your host, Wisdom Okonkwo, and I can't wait for you to hear today's story. In today's episode of my podcast story, we have Willie Blake, the dynamic host of Light Beyond Limits. Willie's podcast is where dyslexic professionals and entrepreneurs discover pathways to confidence, clarity, and consistent momentum toward their goals. As a high-performance coach who was diagnosed with dyslexia in first grade, Willie turned what many would consider a limitation into his greatest strength. His journey from feeling broken and constantly trying to catch up to becoming a sought-after coach and speaker who's graced over 500 stages is nothing short of remarkable. Willie's approach, featuring frameworks like the 2% rule and GPS Go method, has helped countless individuals stop overthinking and start taking action. He's here to share how he transformed his own challenges into a podcast platform that empowers others to break free from their self-imposed limitation and truly shine. Hey, tell us your name and what you do.
Name is Coach Willie Blake. I am a dyslexic high performance and career coach, specializing in helping adult dyslexics, entrepreneurs, and professionals to be able to accelerate their results in their business and life.
Okay, what's the name of your podcast? What's the podcast about?
Name of the podcast is Light Beyond Limits. And we talk about the breakthroughs and stories that people have had with their limitations and the lessons they learned from them.
Wow. When did you start this podcast?
Started it February of 2024, last year.
February of 2024. That's 1 year, 6 months. Man, wow, that's a long time. How time flies.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm curious.
Yes, time flies for sure.
I'm curious, what was the inspiration that led to you saying, okay, I'm going to start a podcast?
The biggest inspiration behind it was in me wanting to help individuals in so many areas. When I was starting my coaching business, I started out as a success coach, which was trying to help everybody. But as many of us know, when you try to help everybody, nobody's listening. And so when I tried to niche it down, it was specific for dyslexics. But with a lot of the experience that I've had during my life and the things that I've done, it's more than just dyslexia. And so through the stories and perspectives that I've heard from other people, I wanted to create something that shares, even though you have challenges, even though we have obstacles, we can still break through them. So that's what the podcast is about. It's about sharing the insights of whether it's me sharing the lessons or people that I interview to help show everybody to break through the limitations that we have. Because we can have challenges, everybody does, but it's the people who break through them that tend to have the best life. And I want to help more people have better lives.
I know that this next question I'm about to ask will sound like I'm repeating the previous question, but the vision you just shared with us, you could have done it any other way. You could have, say, I'll write a book, do YouTube, start a TV show, make a movie on, maybe making a movie might not really, making a movie could work, a documentary or a documentary series, but why podcasting? Of all these other medium you could use, why did you choose podcasting? I'm curious.
I chose podcasting because audio is easier for me. As a dyslexic, struggled with reading and writing and anything of that such. And so anything down that route at the time seemed difficult. And being able to just literally grab my phone, hit record, and just talk into my phone and then post it up onto a podcast, it was a lot simpler. So I'd hit record, I'd do the audios, and started sharing the stories and the messages I had. So I chose podcast simply because, it sounds cliche and easy, but that's what it was. It was the easiest thing from where I was at to share my message with people who needed to.
Yeah. What was the time gap between, I had this inspiration to do a podcast, to I started a podcast?
It took about 2 days.
2 days,
I'd say.
Oh, that's fast.
I woke. If you share a quick story with that,
Okay.
I was laying in bed when I had this idea, of wanting to start a podcast. And I was thinking about it. I'm like, do I want video form? Do I want audio form? Do I want to do a podcast? Maybe a YouTube channel would work, or maybe I'll start like an Instagram page, or maybe I'll go do a blog or something. But this podcast kept coming to my mind. So as I laid there in bed, I just continually kept thinking about it. And so over the next 2 days, I'm like, okay, this idea has stuck. And in my experience with things I've done, if it sticks longer than a day, then it's something that my soul is like, yeah, you got to be doing it.
Well,
And so I hit the record button on the second day, recorded it, went on the computer, figured out how Spotify and all the podcasting stuff worked, uploaded my first episode, and there you go. That was it.
wow, 2 days. A lot of persons take 5 months or sometimes 2 years. You were sharing a quick story before the thing just cut off.
Yes, the story of the distance between the thought and the podcast
Yeah,
actually happening. Yeah, so that
yeah.
2 day frame, when I was laying in bed, I was thinking about this idea of podcasting, and I could have gone so many different routes. I could have gone with blogging or Instagram story or YouTube channel, but this idea of podcasting kept coming up in my mind. And so over the next day, it just stayed there. And I know for myself, if something stays longer than a day, then it's my soul telling me you got to do something with it. And so that next day, I grabbed my phone, recorded an audio. I think it was 8 minutes, my first episode, just 8 minutes long. That was it. And got on the computer, figured out how to do all the podcasting stuff, uploaded it, and there was my first episode of the podcast. And so from there, obviously it's gotten a lot better. The whole dialogue and intros are longer and more impactful. The stories and lessons are great. It's had a lot more quality, but I love having that first episode there because it was truly that first thing of, there it is. It was the action part. I took action on an idea and it started something great from there.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's a sweet feeling to look back and say, yeah, I created this. Yeah, this is my my work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. When you started the podcast because you wanted to help dyslexic entrepreneurs, um, uh, etc., etc. Because because the list goes on and on. But majorly dyslexic entrepreneurs and people who it is a specific podcast. It's like a podcast. Anyone can listen to the podcast, but it's geared towards a specific audience. And I feel like you created a podcast that you would have wanted to listen to if it was out there.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. That's it. It was listening. And I think that's really any content, whether it's podcasts, whether it's YouTube, anything that you want to watch or listen to. That's what it comes to. If it's
yeah,
something that you love watching and putting out there and that you wish, especially for myself, I wish I had my podcast that I could listen to 10 years ago when I was like going through teenage years and then high school. I wish I had it back then because that would have helped me out so much. And so being able to make that today for the generation that's up and coming, of telling them you can break through the limits, it's just truly inspiring. And of course, I love listening to the stuff that I'm creating.
yeah. Well, so far, how I just want us to step behind the scenes of the podcast a bit. How do you make your podcast? What does from production? What does it look like?
Yeah, there's 2 different formats. There's either I will be on, if I'm interviewing someone, we'll jump on Zoom. That's why I do
Okay.
most of my recordings. And so we'll hit the record button, it'll pop up. I'll do my intro, then share their bio or short description. Or if I know them really well, I'll just share my experience with them. Makes it a little more personal. And then we go into a discussion about their story, about what limits they broke, what light they're sharing with the world. We just have a good discussion for 40, 50-ish minutes, and then we close it. And so that's the recording part for the interviews.
Okay.
And then for the lessons where it's just me, sometimes I'll do the same thing. I'll pop up Zoom, a video, like just like a lot of podcasts out there, do the recording, or just like I said, on my phone. I have a really clear audio microphone that I can just plug into my phone, and I just record it from there. And then after that
Just
recording, I
out of curiosity,
yeah.
sorry to interrupt you. What's the mic you use for your phone?
Oh my goodness. I don't know the mic off the top of my head. Where did it go? It is
Yeah,
somewhere
because
in
so,
this
so
room. We literally
some persons might be
moved.
curious.
We literally moved to a
Where
new
Mike?
place this last month, so we have boxes
Oh,
everywhere, and
Mike, where are
it's
thou? Mike, it's a when the world needed him most, he vanished.
yeah, yeah. When you move, it's in a box somewhere. You know it's in the house because you
Yeah,
packed it, but it's
yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah, because the reason I'm asking is a lot of persons who like, oh yeah, he started his podcast using just his phone and his mic, and they will be curious to say, okay, yeah, I'd love to know the mic he's using with his phone, so I can use that with my own setup to do my own podcast too. And so that's why I was like, let me nudge a bit and uh, and know what the mic is. But just since you don't know the exact name of the mic, can you remember how much you got the mic for?
It was like 17 US dollars.
Okay,
How much it
okay,
was?
okay. That's
No,
that's cheap.
pretty inexpensive.
Yeah, yeah. That's cheap. I was expecting to get 200, two
Yeah,
hundred
not
dollars.
hundreds and hundreds of dollars. No, just
Okay.
17.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. Okay. So, sorry for the interruption. You were talking about what happens after the recording.
Yeah, so after the recording, I jump on and I just use the video editor on my laptop, which is called Clip Champ. And I'll
Okay.
just go on, edit the videos, and just kind of like this podcast, I like to keep it nice and clear for just a discussion going back and forth. So I'll edit the intro to be something that my interviewee said. So something that was very
Yeah.
impactful. I'll put it at the very beginning so that people know exactly how amazing this individual is. Then we'll go through the rest of that episode. Just download it from there. And then I use Spotify for podcasters for uploading. So I'll upload it to the Spotify, and then Spotify does the rest with dispersing it to all the different areas.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, why does your workflow sound exactly like my workflow? Everything you just talked about, that's exactly what I do. I try to put a sound bite at the beginning, and then usually I would put moving captions, but Riverside doesn't do the nice captions, so I just like scrap that part. No need.
Yeah.
That's only for video. Okay, so do you upload to YouTube?
Yeah, currently the interviewees that I do. So the interviews I do, they're uploaded to my YouTube channel. Yes.
Okay. You emphasize on the word interviewee. Okay, so what about solo episodes?
The other episodes, a lot of them are just audio, and so I haven't uploaded them to the YouTube channel yet. But in the process of doing that.
Okay. For the audio only, yeah. Something you can do, and that's what I'm doing currently. I have a podcast that is basically just audio, and so I've done over 50 episodes on that one. So trying to go back and upload each of those audio file to YouTube is stressful. So what I just did is I got a tool called Hairliner, and it will allow you to design the template of the video. So you put the title text, you put your cover art, and it will put the audio, the waveform, and so it will do that, and it will copy all the description or everything you have on the podcast side and upload it to YouTube. And that has been fantastic. I'm like, wow, how much time I saved. Imagine trying to do it individually.
Yeah, doing things individually takes a lot of time. So when it
Yeah.
uploads, you click on the video, it pops up. Is it just the cover art that's showing, and then it has the audio with it?
Let me
What
let
is
me
it?
let
What
me
does it do?
let me even show you. Let me show you what it looks like, so you can see it. Okay. Let me share my screen. I'll share the YouTube and okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I'll search for the podcast and okay. This is not me. My podcast is not ranking. Okay. This okay. If I click on this, it take me. My internet is okay. So this is what it looks like. So we can click on each and every one of this. So you see the waveform. You can change the image. This is an image behind it. You can change how the image looks. You can decide if you don't want this to be here. So this is basically customizable. Everything here is customizable. So once you set it up, and you can decide to add moving captions, but I just don't like, sometimes, I notice that these AI tools don't get the captions correct, so I don't
Yeah.
like adding it. So you can
Correct.
adjust
Yeah,
how
no,
long
and
this
it is
audiogram will be. And the thing I love is this copying and pasting. Imagine me trying to copy and paste all this text. So it pulls it directly from Spotify, the RSS feed, and it uploads it for me. And so I'm good. Adds everything to YouTube, and everything is live. And I'm like, wow, life is easy. Life is good.
Life is easy. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. So
I know YouTube is very, very visual. And so seeing that it has the audio bars going up and down with it, that's really cool. That's really cool.
yeah. I think the reason I even added it to YouTube is more for YouTube music, not just the the YouTube. I know YouTube is the search engine, so people, if they search for it and they see it, yeah, they like to consume it. Wow, that would be nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
I you talked about using Spotify for podcasters, and so right now, if we are to look at how much it costs for you to run the podcast, no, except your time, uh, just the tools, the softwares, and all that, I'm thinking it's zero.
So besides time to
No,
continually do
yeah, just
podcasts,
the apps, the softwares, the things you pay for to run the podcast. Because Spotify, your hosting is free. The tool you use for video editing is free, Clipchamp. Zoom, okay, Zoom, you pay for Zoom, or do you use the free plan?
with everything I do pay for Zoom. Yeah.
Okay, but you have a business outside that you use Zoom for, or is Zoom just for the podcast?
No, it's for my business outside too.
Okay, so you're like, oh, I'm already using this layer. I might as well just get
Yeah,
some
well,
of yeah.
it's the
Okay.
podcast is part of the business, right?
Yeah, it is. Okay. So for Zoom, and then what is there any other thing you pay for the podcast?
Besides that, that's I guess my phone would be it. But other than that, it's literally because even sometimes, so I mentioned that the microphone. I really wish I knew exactly where it was. I mentioned the microphone. Sometimes I actually don't use the microphone, and I just use the microphone and the phone because of how
Yeah.
great technology is going. So literally, if you have a phone, it's $0 to take your finger and hit the record button to record the audio. Then you can get a free Gmail account, which I use to upload it to Google Drive, which then able to take that over to and download it to Spotify, just because of how things I do work. Then editing, yeah, Clipchamp's for free, YouTube's free, Spotify's free. So literally $0. Like maybe Zoom for the interview things, but even the recording, most of my episodes are under 40 minutes, which you get free for Zoom. So yeah, pretty much zero.
Yeah, that's wow. That's so the excuse of, oh, it's expensive. It's not there, and you don't have to do an interview podcast. You could do solo podcast. It just depends on what you want, and yeah. Wow. Okay. I like that. That is what we call budget friendly. I love budget friendly.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
if I could share something quick
Okay.
with everything going on, because I'm a father. I have three
Okay.
wonderful kids. I have another one on the way. Beautiful wife. We literally just moved, and so like budget friendly is my jam. It's something that I have to do in
Yeah.
this world that we have today just to be able to get by.
Yeah.
And so one thing I love to tell people is that when it comes to podcasting, when it comes to the goals that we're aiming for, just start doing it. Like the people who you are going to impact and your audience that you're going to teach, they're not wanting you to be perfect today. They don't need you to be perfect today, but they do need you in training. And that training is simply by hitting that record button or holding it up like a selfie, hitting that record button, record for however long that you want with whatever message you're going to share and post it. Start putting it out there because imperfect episodes are going to be reached more than perfect episodes that never get published.
Yeah.
And so it's about just putting it out there, right?
I think we overcomplicate these things, right? Because think of it this way: the same way you give advice to someone in real life, you're like, oh yeah, have a conversation with people where you share them stories and really share exciting stories to really inspire them and educate or entertain them. That's the same, but we just record it and we'll put it on the internet. Now, I know there are optimizations that need to be done, all those things, but it will inspire someone in real life. So why do we overcomplicate it when it comes to putting it on online and like, oh yeah, it's this stuff, it's this, it's not good, it's not that, it's not this. No, like, just post it and then go to the next one, post it, and then eh, the crazy thing is that we are learning in public as a podcaster. So it's not like, oh, I'm writing a book, I could work on it for 5 years and eventually the manuscript will be ready. But with podcasting, you put your first episode out there, you're like, okay, it was terrible. The second one is even terrible too. The third one. And then eventually you get to maybe the 30th episode and you're like, okay, I feel like I know what I'm doing right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
what Mr. Beast says. He's just like, your first 100 episodes, nobody's going to see, right? Or very few people are going to see, because you're just getting in practice. You're getting in the reps. Like if you're working out your muscles, you're just getting in the training to then after those 100 episodes and you keep going, then you'll start getting traction. But you're just,
Yeah.
I don't know why people overcomplicate it. I know I used to years ago. I overcomplicated it to where I hit record. I'm like, hey, this is Willie, and just want to share with you guys really cool message, making it odd, right? It's just like
I
having the
noticed the switch.
conversation is so
I noticed
easy
the
now.
switch. The
Yeah.
moment there was a switch. Why do we do that switch? We're like, oh, hey. I was
Yeah.
once like that. Anytime I watch those videos, anytime I feel like laughing, I just go back and I play those videos and I laugh and laugh and laugh. Oh man, those were the good old days.
Yeah, it's so great to, I know I have videos from years ago. It's great to look at those and be like, man, I love that dude. I loved where I was. He did the best thing he could back then, but oh
Yeah.
my goodness,
Wow.
dude needs to relax. he needs to put his shoulders down. He needs to
You're like,
he
calm
can
down,
smile a
calm
little
down.
bit.
Calm down.
Yeah, calm down, dude. Just take a breath
Oh,
before you hit that record button. You're good. Life is good.
sometimes for me, my own videos, they look like a college kid who's going for a job interview and he's like, oh, I'm like, yeah, my name is, I'm like, dude, calm down, be relax. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Just take a
noticed
breath.
when I checked your episodes, I noticed you've had over 131 episodes published so far.
Yes.
And how often do you release episodes? Quick break. Before we continue, I'd love to invite you to join the My Podcast Story newsletter. Each week, I share highlights from our guest stories, behind the scenes podcasting tips, and resources to help you grow your own show. You can sign up at mypodcaststory.com/join. That is mypodcaststory.com/join. Now, let's get back to the episode.
How often do I upload episodes?
Release episodes, yeah.
Release them?
Like
Yeah.
is it twice
So
every week?
yeah, so the first 100 episodes I wanted to get out as fast as I can. So I uploaded 3 times a week to be able to do
Okay.
that in the last year. And then now about 2 a week I'm getting back after a crazy 3 months of stuff going on. I'm now so happy to be back in the habit. We're doing 2 episodes a week now.
Okay. You started with 3 and now you're doing 2. Wow, that was intense. Okay. I'm curious, you're a dad, a husband, amongst many other things. What's the system? We talked about, oh yeah, these are the tools I use. I do Zoom, I do this. But what's the system you use to show up consistently? Because podcasting is not child's play.
It's true. If you're wanting it, you gotta put your time into it. Because I think the stats are that if you want to be in the top 10% of podcast, you have to publish at least 8 episodes. If you publish 8 episodes, you're in the top. I think it's top 1%. And then if you want to be in the 1% of 1%, then go past 20. So if you want to be in the top, just post 21 episodes and you're already up there, right? So it was this like just putting the time in to be able to do it. It was something I really wanted. Like massive desire. There's a spark in me that ignited, and I'm like, this is something I wanted. But with all this, the schedule and working on the business and doing everything, most of the times I recorded were either at night when my kids were asleep and right before I went to bed, or early in the morning where I'd wake up first before anyone else woke up to record. And those, yeah, just life gets busy, but if it means that much to you, then you're going to make it happen. And for me, it was either staying up a little bit later to record or waking up a little bit earlier.
You just said a sound bite that we're going to use later on. Life gets busy, but if it means so much to you, you're going to make it work. That was a sound bite. That is a quote graphic there. Wow. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you for
dropping that.
thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, it's so
Okay.
true. It's so true. If you love it, if you absolutely love it, you're going to make time for it. You just got to fall in love with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Um, well, how did you like? What's the we've talked about the consistency part. We've talked about making of the podcast. I want us to look at the growth aspect of the podcast. How did you grow your how did you grow your podcast?
Yeah, the biggest way was consistent uploads.
Okay.
So uploading those 3 times a week helped out a lot, and then sharing them with my friends. And so I have this group of friends that we do a bunch of stuff together, and so every time I had an episode come up, I just text them the link. They knew the episode was coming up. I didn't have to be like, "Hey, watch this" or whatnot. I just sent them a link, and they'd support me. And then I'd also go onto social media. I'd pop into Facebook with my friends and Instagram and just put up, "Hey, got a new episode coming out. Would love for you guys to watch it." And that's what helped me grow the podcast.
Oh, so you social media because I see some. Isn't it time consuming and stressful for you? To adding social media to the podcast and amongst the other things you have to do.
It is, but I wanted it, and so I had to do it. that's that's it.
I like that. It is. Yeah. Oh, okay, Facebook. So Facebook is like the major channel you do, or do you try to do a mini channel everywhere, or you just stick to one platform?
So I'll post to Facebook because I won't go too far into like different social medias, but like you have the YouTube and Instagram, which is more of like branding type side where you focus on one thing with your page. You have the LinkedIn, which is kind of in the middle, more professional, but more like not really pictures and stuff, more just like written content. Then you got Facebook, which is your friends, people that you know and reach out to.
Yeah.
Posting on Facebook, I know most the people that I'm friends with on Facebook. So sharing an episode with them, just putting it out there was awesome. It was easy. It was awesome and easy. Then for the YouTube side and the Instagram side, I had to adjust it to fit more of my brand because my brand does focus a lot on dyslexics and careers and entrepreneurs and professionals. And so the episodes didn't always reflect dyslexics because it also went into people with ADHD and autism, different mental, different physical disabilities, how they broke through and built businesses and made a successful life off of that. So it didn't always reflect my brand, but I was
Yeah.
able to turn it in some way to still share it with my audience to be like, this is another individual or this is another lesson of how you can overcome the challenges that you go through, which is highly in the brand I'm creating.
Yeah. I'm curious. Do you do any podcast SEO to grow your podcast?
Considering I don't know what you mean by podcast SU, probably not.
Okay, so basically what I mean is um all these platforms that search, right? Like when people search for, dyslexic podcast or on Google, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, your podcast pops up and they get to people who have not seen your podcast before, they get to see it, right? That's what I'm talking about.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So like SEO words, typing it in Google, having it pop up. So it's like one of the first things. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
a lot. Yeah. So a lot of stuff that I guess we haven't even talked about yet is creating the titles, creating the descriptions, making sure that it's very heavily on keywords to when people type it in on Google, that it's one of the first thing that pops up. Yes, that is one of the things I also focus on so that it can reach more of the audience I want to impact.
So, can you like walk us through how how you do that?
Yeah. I use my wonderful friend ChatGPT. It is honestly saving me.
Uh,
Because like I said, dyslexic, writing, the editing, copy editing, all the words and stuff can be difficult a lot of the times for me. So I've
yeah.
in the ChatGPT, it's been easy to create that template that I want. I created it, and then every episode that I have, I'm able to put in the information, share what I want in the description, and then AI is able to then put it in that format that I already created. That way it can just the copy and paste it in rather than just every single time the exact same format typing it into like YouTube or Spotify. So ChatGPT is huge in helping me be able to write those, as well as find different keywords and stuff um, for the podcast episodes.
Yeah. I just want to show you something. Share my screen.
Yeah,
And
please do.
okay, where do I think I should just share. Let me share the window so that I don't have to be sharing every time. Okay. I'm going through your website. Okay, you can see the screen now, right?
It's currently loading on my side.
Oh, it's currently loading. Is it fully loaded now?
Not yet. I can let you know. There we go.
Ooh,
Just came up.
wow. Wow, that took a long time. Okay, so you see, I'm looking at your website and I can't see anything about the podcast on the website. I could be wrong.
Correct. Yeah. So it possibly can be yeah. So right now we're in the works of getting the full website up. This is the
Oh, okay.
website that I got up to be able to people who want to work with me one on one and to be able to grab my free resources that I have. This is there for them. The website I had, I won't go too far into details of what happened, but we had a hacking incident and stuff with the website, and so we're just currently fixing it right now to be able to have everything up. So this is the wonderful
Wait,
thing for just the barest of minimums, have people be able to reach out to me. Unfortunately, the podcast is not on it at this time.
yeah, I'm curious. I know you can't go into more details, but just so we can learn, so that from this experience, what happened will not happen to us. Like, what would you say, like, without going into detail, what would you say, led to the hacking? More like the what's the word now? If you break an edge, the serpent will bite. Yeah, what was the edge that was broken that allowed them to like be able to get access to the websites and hack it?
Yeah, the how to say this without saying too much about it.
Okay.
For those who are listening to not be able to have that happen, make sure that your passwords are safe and secure. So,
Ooh,
I know that the one I was using at the time for
yeah,
this was one that I quickly made just so I can get started, and I made the mistake of not changing it once things got started. And so, because of the easiness of it, they were able to get in. Luckily, nothing big happened. Not many people know about it. But yes, make sure that you have strong passwords. If it has that line of just like, is it weak, strong, super strong? Make sure
yeah,
it's on the super strong side and you'll be just fine.
yeah. Earlier on before the pre-call, I mentioned that I tried looking for the podcast on Apple. So I I'm trying to see. I don't think your podcast is on Apple Podcast, which is strange.
It is strange because I fully remember it a couple months ago being on Apple Podcasts. So
Oh,
this is the first time I'm hearing about it. Thanks for bringing it to my attention. I'll go check on it to make sure what the heck's going on because it should be for sure.
yeah, because I'm trying. This is me trying. This is your full name. Okay, maybe if I search for only your name, maybe it will pop up. I'm surprised. Maybe okay.
You might
It's
get, because I also share a name with either
the famous,
1800s or
yeah,
1600s
yeah, the famous
authors
author,
and
yeah,
poets. So
yeah.
you'll probably get a lot of
It's
those.
it's
Yeah,
it's not.
I'll just have to go check it out because I know it's on Spotify. I know it's on other platforms like Overcast and such. Just
Well,
no
if it's
idea
on
why it's not found
Overcast,
here.
if it should be, yeah, but well, it's all right. One of those logistics problem. Okay,
Technology
yeah,
is fun, isn't it?
it is, yeah. Because I'm always curious about search engines because if you it's how do I explain now? If you can optimize for search, right? It's more like the people who are searching for something, they already know what they're looking for. So you're not trying to convince them to say, oh no, listen to this, do this, right? Someone is looking for a dyslexic podcast for entrepreneurs. That's what they know what they want. So you're not like trying to convince them that, oh, you're dyslexic. You should be listening to a podcast. No, like, no, I want to listen to a podcast. And so when they see your podcast, like, yeah, this podcast was waiting for me. Let me listen to it. And this stuff will just be happening while you're sleeping and all that. It's usually you just do one work once and everything takes care of itself. So I always love the idea of search engines.
Yeah, you nailed it. You if you do the work, you do the big grind, all the work first, and then while you're sleeping, it just works in the background. So I fully agree
Yeah.
with you. Having the search engine, focusing on that, crucial of getting a podcast out.
Yeah. Earlier on, I asked you how you grew the podcast. You mentioned showing up consistently, and you also mentioned, you know, spreading the word out there by sharing with friends, family, and on social media too, right? And so this is not just the close friends. So we're talking about friends on Facebook too, right? Okay.
We're talking about friends back in high school. We're talking about acquaintances that we met once at a networking event, and also maybe coworkers in a job that I haven't been to for like 5 or 6 years. Right? Just everybody. You just share it on there, and Facebook puts it out to them.
Yeah. One other thing I feel like you did not mention is the fact that you guesting on other people's podcast. And is this a new strategy you adopt recently, or has this always been the part of the game plan from the very beginning?
To have guests on my podcast.
No, to be a guest on other people's podcast.
Oh, it was it was not a part of the game plan. Well, I guess kind of. So the main focus for me was more on being a speaker and a coach. That was the
Okay.
route I took. And then as I was going down that route, I realized that it's not just about physical stages. There's also plenty of virtual stages, and and podcasts fit right in the virtual stage. And so I had my podcast, and I'm like, why am I not going on other people's podcasts? And the same thing of like, why don't I have more people on my podcast? Because I'm sure a lot of people out there are like needing more exposure to be able to share their message, which if they align with what I'm sharing, why would I not give them a microphone? And so I started out,
Yeah.
I wanted to be a speaker. And then as I continued down that route, I realized that being a guest on people's podcasts is a wonderful thing to also share the message I want to share.
Okay. Okay. Wow. And how has that been working out? How many? See, okay. When exactly was this realization and implementation?
Realization was about 6 months after I started mine, which was so about 10 months ago, we can say.
That was more like July 2024,
Yeah.
August 2024.
Yeah. So
Okay.
like last year around this time, I had that realization. And so
Okay.
from there, I just, for the people that I knew who had podcasts, which were at the time like 3 or 4, I talked with them and they had me on. And then just recently, over the last 2 months, I've been on a lot more. I think this awesome podcast is the fifth one that I've been on this week,
Wow.
and so it's just increasing the numbers to just
Okay.
share with more people.
Okay. Wow. I'm glad we're having this conversation, and thank you for getting out there and not just hiding in your podcast. Wow. Okay. And I want to talk about something, very, very important. And does the podcast make money?
My podcast does not. It hasn't met the monetization requirements yet.
when you say monetization requirement, is that of Spotify or that of YouTube?
More both. It hasn't reached it for both, but I know specifically for YouTube it hasn't, because you need
Okay.
1,000 subscribers as well as like 4,000 hours watched in a year. So there's those requirements. I haven't met them yet, so no, it's not making money.
Yeah, you mentioned that you have a business and the podcast connects to the business. I'm curious, does the podcast bring leads for your business?
Yeah, it does. So the people that I interview have their audiences, and there's one person in specific who is a client that I'm actually working with, that we got connected based off of an interview that I had with someone who I brought them on my podcast. And so it's just really cool to know that the different people that I interview on a podcast, that when they share it with their audience, the people then reach out to me and be like, hey, I actually think what you're doing is cool. Can I get on a call with you? And I'm like, yeah, let's do a strategy session. Have it with them. They're like, dude, what can I do to work with you? And then the one awesome dude in specific, he's a client of mine now. And so, yeah, it does bring in leads.
So the podcast does make money.
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
you.
Yeah, it's true. It does bring in money.
I got you. Wow, that's because most time people hear it's monetization. You what's the word? You selling your products on your podcast, and they're paying you cash, well not cash, but money, and so you're making money. So even if I guess maybe in the future it would be nice to have YouTube and all those other platforms, but we're making money. It's paying for itself and more.
I actually really appreciate you bringing that up, because I haven't connected those dots before of the podcast bringing in leads to then make money. Because when I think of money on a podcast, I'm thinking of the monetization, which is the words that they use, which basically just like as you get a certain amount, then ads will pop up on your podcast, or you can have sponsors that you can share to bring in money. That's where my mind goes. But you just connected a dot of leads. And now that that's connected, my podcast is bringing in money.
Yeah, you are like at the top. Like usually it's ads, affiliates, and then ads, affiliate sponsorships, and then selling your own products. You've bypassed the highest earning is like selling your products. All those other ones, it's nice, but you can only make a huge amount of money from it when you have a large audience. But
Right.
if not, you probably be scraping pennies and all that. Wow. So now that how do you okay, I think what I would want to say is I'm finding a way, and this is me just thinking out loud. I'm finding a way. I know we can't measure everything, but what gets measured gets improved. That's one of the things I believe. I'm finding a way to see how we can measure, okay, how many leads does my podcast, because now what's happening is that you're a thought leader in your industry, like in the dyslexic entrepreneurial coaching. You're a thought leader because you have a podcast. If you did not have a podcast, same thing with writing a book. If you write a book out there, you're a thought leader, right? It changes perception. If you don't have a podcast, let's say you don't have a podcast, for example, and you still have the experience, you're still a speaker, you're still a coach. It doesn't change that aspect. But now that you have a podcast, people perceive you, oh yeah, this guy, he has a podcast, and they look at the podcast, oh, his podcast is around for 3-4 years. This is a thought leader in the space, and it changes how people see you. And once people sales is based on knowing, liking, and trusting someone. So yeah, it gets them to work with. I guess the goal will be to look at the leads and get to ask them, okay, when did you first hear about me? What convinced you that that working with me will get you to the desired results? And that way we get to know, okay, how many times podcasting came up in the conversation, and we know how to double down on what's working, and what's not working. We can call it out.
Yeah, it brings credibility. It brings the trust
Exactly.
without
Exactly.
knowing them, right? Meeting them in person. It just brings the whole thing around. Because if you have a podcast, you say it and people are like, oh, that's really cool. But you know this, being in the podcast space, you got podcasters who have thousands of episodes, and you have podcasters who have 2 episodes. And so just having a podcast, you being like, I'm a podcaster, doesn't do it. But if you can then share the link, or they look you up and you have hundreds of episodes, and you are on there and you are speaking to the person on the other side of the camera, and they're just like, wow, you didn't just do this once. You didn't hit record on the camera, on the phone once. You did this hundreds of times. You are someone who is actually out there
Yeah.
doing something. That is credibility. That is bringing in the trust to where now people are like, I see you differently just because the private work that you have been doing in the background, that you have been posting, that you've been putting on the podcast, I can now see it. And that shows ample of the discipline and dedication that you have. And so the person who has those 2 episodes, way to go for them. They're starting. But the people who have been doing it for a while, doing it 3 or 4 years, showing up for themselves, people see that and they're like, this person's credible. They're someone I want to hang out with, and they're someone that I want absolutely inside my inner circle.
Yeah, it just occurred to me, and I'll share this quickly because I know that I'm looking at the time and I'm like, oh, dude, you have to round up. And that is for all the podcasts you've actually appeared on as as a guest, you can write on your website, and the way you go some website like as featured on this on CNN, on Wall Street Journal and all that. So you can say as featured on, you can call my podcast story and all the amazing podcasts. And for some reason, for the people in your industry, they would see a brand, say, oh yeah, this brand has featured, and it is actually featuring because having someone um host you as a guest, that's feature. Like, I don't know what featuring is if it's not that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Just
uh,
having it. So one of my good friends, his name's James Burt, amazing artist. He's up and coming speaker. And what he does is he paints pictures on stage. But the coolest thing was, as I was talking with him, I just knew him as a speaker. And then when he showed me what he did, which is he brought up all the people he worked with. He's worked with Amazon. He's worked with Google and Adobe. He's painted for Nike, like all these different brands. And I'm like, 1, I didn't know that about you. That just makes you instantly
wow.
cooler. But 2, you're actually out there with with the big boys, out there with the big people, actually getting stuff done. And his credibility shot through the roof when I saw that. And so
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
right on the money. When you show
yeah.
the things that you've done, people come. The people you want
Yeah,
come.
and that your friend can actually write on his website that works with Nike and all those brands you mentioned. And he did work with them. So, and Amazon and all that. And people are like, wow, this guy he's playing with the big boys. He's not a small
Yeah.
boy. Okay. What advice would you have for podcasters? People who are still who thinking about it, who they're grinding and wondering whether they should keep going. What advice do you have for them, just as a party note?
If I were to give one piece of advice to those who are in the thick of it, of either starting their podcast or in the middle of still going, I would say if you love it, continue to do it. And if you don't love it, evaluate if you still want to do it. But remember that 10 years down the road, the person who is there is going to be grateful for the episode that you record. And so if that's the person that you want to influence and help, continue moving forward, creating your podcast. Because podcasts are awesome. And the people who you need to impact are out there. They simply just need you to be consistent and simply need you to hit the record button.
Oh, thank you so much, Willie. Where can listeners learn more about you and your amazing podcast?
Did you say where can they get to know more about me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they can go to my website, coachwillieblake.com. That will be coming up with more stuff where that's where all the links are, as well as places to connect with me. As well as I have my YouTube channel, Dyslexic Achievers Hub, where we talk about the achieving side, not just with dyslexics, but everybody who has a challenge in their life. Those 2 are the best places.
And what's the name of the podcast?
Yes, sorry, totally forgot about that. I don't know why we're talking about podcasts this whole time. Name of the podcast is Light Beyond Limits.
Okay. Wow, thank you so much. I'll be sure to put the links in the description and the show notes so listeners can just click and go directly to the site. Wow, it's been an absolute delight chatting with you, and thank you for your patience waiting for me, even though my internet just kicked me out of the meeting.
Hey, it happens, but we wait for passionate individuals. So thank you.
Yeah,
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me on your
yeah.
show.
Yeah, that's it for today's episode of my podcast story. I hope you enjoyed listening to this journey as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. If you found value in today's episode, make sure to subscribe and leave a review. It really helps others discover the show. And don't forget to join the newsletter at mypodcaststory.com/join for more stories and podcasting insights. Until next time, keep telling your story because someone out there needs to hear it.